We find in Arab communities this is the case as well. And the Prophet ﷺ says, look, forget everything. The main thing is piety. A person may be ugly. A person may be skint. A person may be maybe a slave. But if the person is God conscious, person is pious, person always remembers Allah, then that relationship will be the most strongest of relationships. You may be skint, but because you love each other for the sake of Allah, a man who has God consciousness will never cheat on his wife. A wife who has God consciousness will never cheat on her husband. They'll be aware of the commandments of Allah and His noble Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You find a husband who is extremely poor, but is upright and pious. The wife will get married, expect him to be rich and wealthy. He may not be able to provide food. He might not be able to give the clothes that she wants. But because he's pious, you find the most strongest of relationships. You go to the Asian subcontinent. Research will tell you the most happiest marriages is amongst the poorest communities. Why? Because expectation is low, and people are happy with whatever Allah has given them. And should be our similar approach. So the most important, and it's sad, people look for the degree, for the wealth, for the honor, for the caste, for the family, for everything. But we never look at piety. We never look at how pious is that servant of Allah. How pious is the groom? How pious is the bride? Nobody cares about that. And that's why you see, there's much, what happens? People get married, hunky-dory, happily ever after, they fly on cloud 9 for the first 8-9 weeks, and you should be coming down slowly, you don't come down slowly, you come down with a big bang. And next thing you know, the husband and the wife are on each other's throats, fighting, shouting. Anything the wife does, ticks the husband off. Anything that the husband does, ticks the wife off. Why? Because they are not God conscious. They're not happy with what Allah has given them. Their framework and their understanding is framed around wealth, around caste, around beauty, and that's the only thing they frame their things upon. So this is important. And sometimes, amongst elders of our communities, in many communities, especially in some of the South Asian communities as well, a man will say, I will never get married outside my caste. Why? Simple racism. A father will never get their daughter married, or a woman will not marry outside their caste. Why? Because of simple racism. One of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ used to be amongst the Jewish tribes. Had no connection with the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ married her. I think there's somebody in the door. So, regardless of caste, yes, you should look at, when a man gets married, when a woman gets married, you don't look at relativity. If a woman is a princess, she's not going to go marry a slave. If the woman is from a very high, lofty position family, she's not going to go marry in a low-class family. Though it doesn't make a difference, but you should try, it's called kufu in Arabic. Kufu, where you keep the similar social trend. Okay, let's quickly move on. I want to give you a story of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and how he got his daughter married. So his son married. Once Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh was doing his errands, going around, and he used to be looking around the community for the people of Medina. Once he was going around, and he was tired, so he came and lay down, not lay down, he leaned upon one of the walls of a house. And he was needed to crack up door for Fajr. Suddenly he hears a conversation inside the house. Mother is saying to the daughter, wake up, it's still a little dark. Go and milk the animals so we may add water to the milk and make more profit. So the daughter said, Mother, do you not remember what Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu told us last night in his khutbah, in his sermon, that we should not deceive? She said, look, forget it, Umar ibn Khattab. There's no Umar here, nobody here to see you. So forget it, just go and do it. We need the extra cash. She said, Mother, how can I Mother, how can I deceive Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu? And forget, if Umar isn't here, Allah is watching me. And she wouldn't do it. Umar ibn Khattab was so astonished with her actions and conditions that he went back and he said to his attendant that, do you remember which house this was? Afterwards they went back. And in the morning, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the Muslims, the king of that time, he sent his attendant and said, go and find out who that family is. So he went and he did some research, came back and said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, she's a poor girl. Her mother, she lives with her mother. There's only two of them in the family. And she's a poor girl, and she's from the Banu Hilal tribe, one of the tribes of Arabia. The Prophet ﷺ said, okay, go and summon them to my family, to my house. So they went and they were invited. An invitation was given to the mother and the daughter. And then Amir al-Mu'minin radiallahu anhu said to the daughter that I am astounded at your piety. I am astounded at your God consciousness. I would like to offer. Sorry, before he done that, he called his son Asim. And he said to Asim, I know a very pious girl, a very upright girl. If you allow me, I will propose a marriage on your behalf to that family. He said, Father, no problem. Then Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu summoned the family, they came, and Umar ibn al-Khattab said to the girl that, and he said, I am astonished at your piety. And based simply on your piety, she had good character as well. She was, attractive looking, according to Asim, the son, he was happy. And he said, I'd like to offer you my son's hand in marriage. And this, look at the words of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He said, I, Khalifatul Muslimin, the king of the Muslims, will be honored if you accept my son in your nikah, in your marriage. The daughter consulted with the mother, and there and then they accepted the nikah, and they accepted. And what was the result? She was so pious that from that child, she gave birth to a daughter, and her daughter gave birth to the great Umar bin Abdul Aziz. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, I don't have time to explain his history, but Umar bin Abdul Aziz, it is said, ever in the history of Muslims, there was 2 times when there was great peace and tranquility. It was the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, who, when an earthquake would come, remember I mentioned? When the earthquake would come, he would hit the land and tell him to shut up, and he'd stop. Where Umar ibn al-Khattab was a great emperor, and from his offspring, from that girl, that poor girl, who gave birth to a daughter, and who gave birth to another son, who was Umar bin Abdul Aziz, who was also at the time of peace and tranquility. And he's also known as the second Umar ibn al-Khattab, because he was so pious, so honorable, and he was one of the leading kings of the Muslims. And this one is a result of a pious mother. We move on. So it's important we do that. Now, let me tell you guys this. Sisters, please listen carefully as well. If you're going through an arranged marriage, or if you're going through a marriage in which you look for your partner, always do your homework. People, what happens in an arranged marriage or when people are looking around, they see a brother. I'm going to pick on the brothers, because I might get in trouble when I pick on the sisters. You can see the brother, and the brother, looks, mashallah, practicing, and says, Assalamu alaikum, with the ayn a bit clearer. The sister thinks, mashallah, this is the one. But he's a deceiving, cruel idiot. He's the one who's clubbing and pubbing. He's the one who's having a relationship. So it's important that we don't just make an assumption based on the cover. For the brother as well, we see a sister, go to see a sister, she's wearing the hijab, or even more practicing apparently, she's wearing the niqab. And we think, subhanallah, this is it. I don't need anything else. That's all, this is it for me. No, do your research. Do your research. Because it's important. It's going to be your future. For a man, when he marries a woman, it's going to be the future of your children. For a woman who marries a man, it's going to be the future of your life and your children. So it's extremely important that you do your research. Don't feel embarrassed. Do your research. Of course, with respect and honor. Don't go around. If Abdullah wants to marry Amina, Abdullah shouldn't say, and even after all his contact list. Put it on Facebook on his wall saying, I want to marry Amina, guys, give me some intelligence. Do your proper research. Don't have honor and respect for each other, but do your research. Okay, one of the roles of the parents upon the child who's about to get married. Few things, there's so many, I'll touch on a few things. It is the responsibility and the haqq of the parent, of the guardians, that they find an upright, pious and stable, financial, through character and every way, a stable partner for their child. For a son, a good, upright, pious, stable daughter-in-law, and vice versa as well. For the daughter, a good son-in-law. It is the haqq. If a parent doesn't put it, and this is for you guys become parents, if a person thinks, I'm not really bothered, my main thing is my caste, you should stay in the village, nowhere else, then you will be accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the one of the haqq of the father, of the mother upon that child. Also, it is the responsibility of the parent to give the final say upon their child, or for the guardian upon that person who's getting married. This is Islamic. People think, no, Charlie, it's up to my parents. No, that's it. SubhanAllah, it's up to my parents. Whatever they say. No. You should have the final say. You're not a kid that your parents make all your decisions for you. If you're a grown man about to get married, you make your final decision. And what happens, we find in Muslim communities, as well as other communities, parents, kids, they say, well, it's up to my parents, the parents think, alhamdulillah, my son, mashallah, very practicing, gives all the responsibility to me. But what happens, the moment that the confliction between the couple, the child comes back and grabs the father by the throat. He hits the mother and says, look what you've done to my life. You destroyed everything for me. That's why it is important, it is Islamic, that the final choice is upon the couple, not upon the parents or the guardians. Okay. What is the responsibility then for the child upon the parent? This is a two-way relationship. You can't just say, well, my parents don't understand, they're from back home, they don't understand anything, freshies. No, you need to be able to have a relationship which is understandable. And Islam has put that for you. Parents have a responsibility, child has a responsibility. And what is a child responsibility of the child? That they honour, respect, and try to be humble in front of their parents. If you're not happy about something that your parents are deciding for you, or your guardian, or your people who are responsible for you, explain to them. Give them a rationale. Don't just say, oh, nah, I can't be bothered, be skint. You have to give a proper example, because they're natural for a parent. Inshallah, hopefully it is natural. Now, a parent will try to get the best partner for their child. It's an arranged marriage. Obviously, I'm talking about an arranged marriage. When it's a non-arranged marriage, you choose it yourself, then of course you should be careful as well. But we're talking about the responsibility of the child upon the parent, is this that you be humble, be honourable to them. Don't be disrespectful, don't start a fight with them. We hear cases all the time. Sisters coming, brothers coming, my parents don't understand. Okay, maybe they don't understand. It doesn't mean that you stop screaming and shouting at them and you give them silent treatment, or they give you silent treatment. It's not good, it's unhealthy. So, it is important that you keep them happy and ensure that you keep them happy through democratic ways. I use this word very sensitively. The reason I say that is because at times they might not want to understand. But you as a son, as a daughter, have a responsibility to keep them happy. So yes, you don't have to listen to them when they are not willing to listen to you. But do that in a very sensitive manner. Don't be, rash and go against them. Okay, one question I had was, does that mean that family rank and caste doesn't have importance in marriage? In someone, it does have, as I said before, it has some sort of relativity. For example, if there's a person like Abdullah, he shouldn't go marry anybody and everybody. If there's a trend in the family, in the community that they marry in a certain way, they should try their best, as long as it's Islamic, they should try to keep that in mind. And there is a difference, there is definitely a difference in this rank thing. But it doesn't mean that that's the, people at times, as I said earlier, that's the only thing they look at. That's incorrect, absolutely incorrect. It's really, really, really wrong. So caste and that, it has some sort of relativity, but it's not everything. Do you guys know what I say about caste? Caste, give me an example, guys. Sorry? Chaudhary. What else? Raja. Yeah. What else? Sorry? What? Even in simpler terms in English, we could talk about social class. Social class even has there's no big difference. Yes, you should try to keep it level, but it's not really, really important. Okay, let's quickly move on. What is the preferred time to tie the knot? I'm going to quickly go through this. What is the preferred time to tie the knot? According to the Sharia, a person becomes mature, baligh, when three things happen. Number one, for a woman, period, menses begin. Okay? When that begins, that means that woman, or that child, not child, but that woman, in Islamic terms, even if it's a young girl who's the age of 12, 13, to me, you might be very, very young, but if they are in their menses, they are in the position of having, or they are able to bear children, they are, in Islamic terms, classed as adults. So number one, for a woman when she begins her menses. For a man, when he experiences the ejaculation or wet dreams. You might not experience the ejaculation. If you wake up one morning and you see yourself wet, not that you urinated in bed, not that one, but when you see yourself wet through the ejaculation of sperm, then you're mature. And if a person doesn't experience menses, if a person doesn't experience the ejaculation or wet dream, then the average age is 14 years and 7 months. 14 years and 7 months. And what happens is, when a person experiences menses, ejaculation, or reaches the age of 14 years and 7 months, then the book of Allah opens. Before that, there's no accountability. Before that, if a person does wrong, then they won't be accountable for it. If they miss salah, they commit theft, they won't be accountable. But the moment they are mature, they are baligh, they have reached the age of maturity, then the accountability to Allah